the scenario I'll discuss was well, it was a VBID, a vehicle-borne IED, which is we get a call that someone had seen somebody run out of a vehicle, and they were really nervous, and someone had noticed um, that looked like there was some type of device maybe on the emergency brake inside the truck. So that's what we get called, and we know it's a sense of urgency because it's in a marketplace. So it could kill lots of people. So by the time we get there, we get the call, we roll out our security. We're, probably in the middle of the security, because remember, they're there to protect us. Even though we have guns with us, that's not our job. Their job is once we get there, they're securing all the roadways. They're out of their vehicles. They're looking because, as I said before, this is all about people filming how we do things, not necessarily us conquering their device. They would love for us to be blown up, because that's a win for them. That's a great publicity. That's a great propaganda. Wow. But they want to know how we did it. So we get out there. We know we're probably being filmed, but I can't worry about that. So we get out. We see the vehicle. Like I said, I think initially we probably threw a robot out there. I'd rather fix a robot than I can't fix a human. I can't put your arm back on. So we go around it and it's like, okay, we're fine. There's nothing out there. So let's go in. So we're as a team of 3 going around this thing going, okay, let's try to figure out what, is there a device? Is there not?
Let me pause you real quick. You send out the robot to see if this is a booby trap, if they're trying to lure you
Sure. Yeah.
with an IED around it, or something like
Yeah.
that.
We want to see, does the robot set something off? Remember, I got about 5 cameras on these robots. So we can go up there and we can look underneath. We can see, are there other wires going out there? Is there a wire that runs out across the field or something, or across the road going, what can we see with the road? We got it to where it can look inside the cab. Wow. To say, is there something sitting on the thing, on the seat? Is there something there that we can see? And we don't see anything. So we said, okay, now it's our turn because now we can see our eyes now. So we go out there and we're just kind of walking around. It kind of looks like one of those flatbed Tonka or Toyota, little small Toyota pickups, but it looks like it's got an improvised, like a bed liner, like someone shaped a stainless steel piece inside. And it's like, that's intriguing, but it doesn't clue us in on anything because all the sides are up. So it doesn't look anything. But we're kind of looking inside, and I think I was about to open up the door because we didn't see anything. And one of the guys was in the backside, said, "Hey, hold on." And he peeled back that stainless steel sheet metal, and we could see rounds inside there. Like, we think this whole vehicle is just one big bomb. So, okay. So our first thing is, okay, we need to take out a battery source, because that's probably what's going to cause something in there. So we go back and put a water charge, what we call a water charge. It's like a garbage can lid with a water can and maybe some pieces of C4. The whole idea is that it's going to rupture and send a jet up and may disperse circuitry without setting it off, so type of thing. So we do that with the front end of the engine block. So we can take out the battery. That's probably what we believe is probably powering this whole get up. So, okay. So we did that, go back there. We also realized on the emergency brake, what it was time fuse. It was like a hand grenade. They took out the fuse from the hand grenade. So when you pull it, it sparks something, and then just time fuse would go off and set off everything in the back end. So the guy forgot to pull it. So he got nervous. He was not a true believer, is my feeling, because true believer would have stayed in there.
So you had a guy in the truck who you're assuming was supposed to set the fuse, but he
Yeah, what the
saw soldiers
the
coming.
report was a suspicious vehicle, and somebody runs out of that vehicle.
Oh,
So
okay.
we knew there was a driver that parked it, and he was looked really nervous, and he had ran out. So he just forgot to finish the job. He got a little spooked from something.
And were you confident as you're walking up to this truck? Were you confident that this was not something that could be set off remotely? By some guy looking at you with the window 2 stories up?
Yes and no. Um, we have technology that can block things, signals and such, and
Oh,
that's probably as far as I'll go with that.
right, yeah.
Now, unfortunately, the whole idea with the robot was to see if there was a what we call a command wire. So somebody could have it in there, and it doesn't matter what you have that can block things. A pulse on a wire, you can't stop unless you sever the wire before it gets to the device. So we were confident that we didn't see any of that. So you walk up there, but you don't think anything of it. You just you're so focused on doing your job. I'm confident in my security element that if somebody looks like they're pointing a gun at me, they're going to take the shot and kill them. I have to be confident in that, or I can't do my job.
Right.
And so we probably open up the back end, and two massive wheel wells full of ordnance in each side.
Wow.
I mean, we pulled out 155 millimeter shells, like 2 or 3 on each side. We pulled out a propane tank that had HME, homemade explosive, with nuts and bolts inside of that. So if when it blew off, and then we had 2 more canisters of napalm. So I mean, they just wanted to hurt people and kill people and make the biggest scene that they could. So we were there for good 6 hours
Just
taking this.
dismantling it?
Huh?
Just dismantling it?
Yep. Taking it all out, taking inventory. I mean, it sucks, but you have to stay out there, and you got to take care of this device because you couldn't just blow it up.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, a couple things. So you're dealing with this VBID, and then, as you say, you've got your security, you've got your soldiers around providing
Mhm.
security. So you're not going to be looking up worried about any folks on rooftops or whatever. But your brain is still aware of that. So I mean, so it seems like psychologically you've got a couple of different things going on simultaneously. One, knowing that there's a lot of dangerous stuff out there, but you can't think about it.
Right.
Um, but still, it's got to be there in some way. And then I'm thinking as you're looking at this vehicle, working with this vehicle, this is an intensity of focus that probably you've never experienced in any other aspect of your life, combined with some adrenaline that's going
Well,
the.
yeah, because when you think of like, oh, I'm focused on a test or I'm focused, I'm like, yeah, but the test isn't going to kill you. This
Right.
is going to kill you. I mean, you have the potential of not coming out of this alive. But believe it or not, you don't focus on that. You're so focused on your training. You're so focused on how do I approach safely? How do I do this? How do I do that? And just the procedures. I can't worry about someone else's job. If I'm worried about somebody else not, trying to shoot me or something, I can't do my job. Then we're all in danger. So
Wow.
it's really not until you get done with that and you go back home going, oh my gosh, what were you thinking? And then of course, this is when you get to call home. It's like, so how was your day? Boring, nothing going on. We just kind of sat at the compound. I have to lie because you can't tell the story while you're there. You can tell the story when you get home, but you can't tell the story while you're there. And this is what I told all my soldiers. I said, we have all the power. And what do I mean by that? If we have a bad day, I can pick up a satellite phone and I can call my wife. If my wife has a bad day, she can't get a hold of me. She has to find somebody else to vent to or cry on or cry to. But and she can try to send me an email. And if I have reception, if I have connectivity, I can try, but it's not a guarantee.
Wow.
So you have to call home regularly to let them know that you're okay and that you love them and that you're doing everything you can safely to come home.